and welcome to our project presentation on creating curriculum to support second language acquisition. The name of our school is the Kaleidoscope School, based in Chicago, Illinois. The members of our group are Bridget, Cassie, myself, Sarah, and Sophia. Our mission statement is our school will provide a multicultural education that encompasses different cultures, ethnicities, and languages while providing students with the knowledge and skills to engage with others and excel academically. The backgrounds of our students, like a kaleidoscope, are complex, varied, and changing in form, pattern, and color. They are continually shifting from one set of relations to another and rapidly changing. Our diverse and accepting environment will provide every student with an opportunity to shine. So the kaleidoscope metaphor is one that we have picked up from previous multicultural education classes, and we found it to be just exceptionally creative in its approach to explaining multicultural relations within a classroom. So that's why we really gravitated towards it as an umbrella idea for our project, and henceforth the name of our school. So our school, we have decided, is full of 260 students with 2 classrooms per grade level. So this would mean pre-K to 4th grade with 21 students per grade. So the number of staff then would be 28 staff members total, 12 classroom teachers, 1 principal, 1 gym teacher, 1 art teacher, 1 music teacher, 2 librarians, 3 secretaries, 2 custodians, and 5 bilingual teachers. And the languages spoken at our school then are English, Spanish, Arabic, Tagalog, and Mandarin Chinese. In laying out our educational model, we wanted to look at several different components. And these are components that have been described as things that inform an educational model. So we first started with the philosophy of the nature of children. And so we believe in, and these are kind of verbatim just because they're kind of part of the mission statement. So we believe in the innate goodness of young people. We see children as capable, loving, and intentional individuals who want to live and work in the best interests of themselves and others. With this in mind, our goal as educators and caregivers is to carefully and thoughtfully guide them towards positive decision-making and academic advancement. So then, looking at the values and beliefs that drive the educational model, we make a nod to an anti-bias approach to multicultural education, which is in support of respecting and embracing differences, acting against bias and unfairness, and requiring critical thinking and problem solving by both children and adults. And this comes from the Anti-Bias Curriculum Education, a book and curriculum philosophy that was written and designed by Louise Dorman Sparks and Julie Olson Edwards in 2010. So the next portion of our educational model is the developmental theories that drive our model. Sorry, one second. So we align ourselves with the modern early childhood developmental theories of Piaget, Kohlberg, Vygotsky, Gardner, and Erikson. We are also influenced by the theories of the National Association for Education of Young Children's developmentally appropriate practice, so NACE's developmentally appropriate practice, that reflects the expertise and experience of many people, many experienced educators working in early childhood education over the years. And then these theories discuss children's physical, social, and emotional, cognitive, and language and literacy development. So they really look at the whole child, and so that's why we look at them for as a great resource in creating our educational model and creating our curriculums and creating our instructional plans and our assessment strategies. So then moving on to our theories of teaching and learning, we strive to offer children an opportunity to learn through meaningful activities that are related to their own interests in projects done either independently or collaboratively. Children's learning is then promoted through direct experiences with the community that then extend outward to more abstract thinking. So starting with what the child knows and has experienced firsthand, and then helping them, like for instance, visiting a train station, which then would help them, put themselves into the community, and then relate that to their lives, and relate those to more abstract thinking questions about travel and time and things like that. And then we also deeply value play. And we see this as an outlet for children to creatively learn, produce, and symbolically represent their knowledge of the world. And then also we we encourage children to use multiple modes of expression. So drawing, painting, clay, sculpting, constructing, conversing, and dramatic play. So our learning environment and equipment and materials are specifically designed to create a warm and aesthetically pleasing space. So we create our space using soft colors and natural materials, and also earth tones and jewel tones, as the Kaleidoscope picture portrayed. And we really these classrooms are with an absence of plastic toys and more showy academic materials, because we just find that the space can be more calming and opening to creative thought if it's calm and supportive in that way. So then we also include technology equipment such as projectors, smart boards, iPads, and computers. Obviously, for the age that this technology equipment is appropriate for. So in younger classrooms, we might just see projectors, and then moving up to smart boards and maybe iPads and computers in the older classrooms. So for our daily routine and schedule, our daily schedule for our students is a mixture of small and large group activities, free play, scaffolded activities, let me go back to the small and large group activities. So these will involve the teacher planning and directing and taking cues from the children and allowing the teacher to respond flexibly to the children. And then in large group activities, where it also involves the teacher planning and directing, the teacher is obviously more directive and in control and responds to the group to maintain order and positive learning. And then in scaffolded activities, these are more one or two children with the teacher, and a child and a teacher are in a direct play and learning dialogue, and this allows for the teacher to respond to the child and may guide the child in the direction of the activity. So these kinds of activities, these scaffolded and small group activities, are going to be really helpful for as we see later, our second language acquisition curriculum strategies and activities, because they allow for the teacher and the student to have a very tight feedback loop of the scaffolding and essentially structured, sheltered English immersion, English language teaching. And then obviously we include free play as part of our daily routine. Pre-K and K children have 2 blocks of 45-minute to an hour long unstructured free play, and then older children have outdoor playtime and time for creative expression in their art and movement classes. And then we also have obviously meal time, bathroom breaks, and nap time for the younger children. And in our classes, we start with a morning meeting where we gather on the carpet, sing songs, read alouds, cognitive skill development, and instruction pertaining to the week's learning goals. Okay, so our next part of the educational model is the curriculum and pedagogy. And so this kind of mentioned before, but our curriculum is driven by the state, the Common Core, the NAEYC standards, as well as the research-based developmental standards of early childhood age children. And then we also, our approach to implementing a multicultural dimension to our pedagogy is based on the anti-bias approach, which pays special attention to environment, promoting cultural and racial diversity, working with parents, identity development, and language development. So the goal with our curriculum is for our English as second language learners to learn content and gain academic proficiency. So both go hand in hand. Okay, so then for our teacher-student roles, interactions, and relationships, our teachers position themselves as mentors, guides, and facilitators of children's learning. We see ourselves as part of the learning experience in a valuable yet solely supportive way, giving the child the reins in their own exploration. So in doing this, we use reflective and supporting in building supportive relationships with children. We use specific strategies such as using reflective and responsive statements, redirecting negative behaviors instead of just distracting, and then using I messages to convey emotions and desires for So then in using these strategies, we help our students to build social and emotional intelligence, inner control and resiliency, and a positive sense of self. And again, these are through supportive relationships. And then we also thoroughly take into account the cultural backgrounds of our students, and really recognize the unique set of characteristics that each child comes into the classroom with. And then really allow the guiding philosophy to meet the children where they are. And learning about and uncovering their realities, experiences, behaviors, and interests, teachers will be able to inform their multicultural approach based on their specific grouping of students. So this concludes the part of the presentation that discusses the educational model, and then now we're going to move on to the ESL program that we've decided to implement in our school. So for this, due to the mixed demographics of our student body, we are unable to offer a single L1 based bilingual classroom. So L1 is not technically maintained, but it is supported, which is the essence of the entire educational model, to bridge the L1 competency with the learning of English language. And then we do this through two types of ESL support. The first is in sheltered English and specifically designed academic instruction for ELLs. So the self-contained teacher will ideally have a background in ESL instruction or will be receiving additional training from our school. And so with this skill set, we'll be able to adapt curriculum as well as implement specific strategies for ELLs to learn the L2. So the teacher will provide individualized support for content learning without watering down the content. And then the second type of ESL support we'll offer is the structured immersion with the pull-out component, where ELLs with lower English language proficiency will be pulled out of their classrooms to receive ESL instruction until they are able to catch up and have enough L2 proficiency to just work with the classroom teacher. And so the individuals who will be pulling the children out, the students or the ELLs out of the classroom, will be the bilingual educators on staff who are specifically trained in ESL instruction. Okay, yeah. So then moving on, we've just pulled out a few of the WIDA standards for each grade level, technically, we would use all of the WIDA standards to guide the curriculum throughout the year, and hit each of those markers for based on where the student is in the developmental learning sequence of English language, of the English language learning. But we've just pulled out a few standards to talk about specifically. So for pre-kindergarten, we have students will be able to engage in activities related to topics such as social behavior, routines, hygiene, colors, and feelings. And then for kindergarten, students will engage in activities related to topics such as self and family, picture books, weather, and seasons. Then for first grade, we have students will engage in activities related to topics such as likes, dislikes, needs, and feelings or emotions. And then for second grade, Students will engage in activities related to topics such as money, number, shape, size, time, and weight. So then for the learning objectives that will drive the English, the second language acquisition for pre-kindergarten are as follows. Students will know and follow daily classroom routines, be able to trace and copy their names, as well as recognize the letters that form their name, identify letters to spell out words. For kindergartners, students will create their own interactive All About Me booklet. Students will listen in order to follow directions. They'll be able to identify similarities and differences, and they will identify each of the seasons. And then for first grade, students will discuss emotions and feelings. They will be able to identify different types of feelings, and they will practice following directions. For second grade, students will record data. They'll discuss and compare important information presented on graphs. They will learn and use basic measuring skills, and they'll be able to describe what time it is. Okay, and then for the pedagogical strategies, let's see, let me find my notes. We have several different strategies. The first, journaling. Students will be given various opportunities to write down their thoughts, stories, etc. in a dialogue journal that the teacher will read periodically. And then in the area of dramatic play, the area will be organized based off of different themes of study, which will allow for the children to help gain a larger vocabulary, practice their social skills, and their pragmatic skills. Then for vocabulary instruction, we will relate new vocabulary to the children's known vocabulary, provide ample opportunities for a deeper processing of words and their meanings, and then continue to promote the use of newly learned words. Then for parental involvement, which has been stated as a main part of our educational model, we encourage children's families to talk and read to their children to build stronger vocabulary and to maintain their home language. And then for the visual aids in our classroom, we'll include pictures, charts, diagrams throughout the classroom that help all children recognize information and help support their ideas and interpretations. It also makes both language and content easily accessible for the children. So these visual aids will be provided in all of the languages present in the classroom, in addition, images of people on the walls will also reflect the ethnic makeup of the students in the class, so that children can see themselves represented in their classroom. And then for small group and large group activities, these allow for teachers to group ELLs and native speakers with one another to provide interaction and help build speaking and social skills. And also during this time, we've also mentioned that this is a really key time for sheltered instruction to be happening between teacher and student. So then in Think, Pair, Share, this allows students various opportunities to discuss different concepts and topics with one another based on developmental areas. This opportunity could be based off of a certain topic that promotes critical thinking, questions, or reading passages. And then in self-directed activities, this allows language learners to match interests and language abilities, which is part of the desire to be able to give students experiences that are meaningful to them, and then create their own learning, their own methods and learning paths. And then for graphic organizers, we use different forms of graphic organizers such as Venn diagrams, KWL charts, that will allow all children to organize information and their ideas efficiently. And then as far as incorporating technology resources, providing websites such as starfall.com, which promotes reading instruction, and literacycenter.net, which is a language learning site. So that concludes the WIDA Standards, Learning Objectives, and Pedagogical Strategies section. And next, we are going to just kind of show you the activities that the in-class activities that we designed. We didn't want to abbreviate them because we wanted them to be explicit so that you can know exactly what we had in mind. But I'm not going to read them out loud because I feel like that'd just be redundant. So here will be the, you can take a peek at these and we'll just play some music for just a few minutes as we go through pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, first and second grade. Okay, so we hope that that gave you a good idea of our of some strategies or some activities that we will implement within our curriculum. Next, we are moving on to, and finally, we're moving on to assessment strategies. This is obviously an important component to second language acquisition. It allows us to gauge where the ELL is in their process of learning the language and knowing how we can modify for them and help them reach the next level. For pre-kindergarten, an oral exam is good for pre-K as the children do not have the ability to read or write fluently yet. Oral evaluations are done by having the teacher ask the child about a topic and having the student communicate what they know. For ELLs, speaking is one of the best ways to creatively express themselves, and they can use the teacher for affirmation and clarification. Other ways you can informally assess are through observations and role playing. For kindergarten, we have the use of the Wiedekit assessment, which can be administered on the child at any time and will determine the English language proficiency level of the child. It will give a really good assessment of where the child is and will inform the teacher on what differentiated instruction will be needed for the student's education. And then for the oral exam, kindergartners would also benefit from this strategy as English is still relatively new for all children. ELLs will be able to show their proficiency in a non-stressful way to the teacher, and this allows them to explain themselves verbally and extensively. And then you can also informally observe through observations and having them retell stories. And then for first grade, matching is an assessment strategy where the teacher can assess their understanding of new vocabulary by having the students match words in their L1 to English. This can be done by having the student draw a line from rojo to red or azul to blue and so on. This isn't stressful for the student and will easily show the teacher how well their English proficiency is. And then another way, more formal ways, is having them take a multiple choice test. You can also use the Wiedekit and also have them play games and read with their partners. And then for second grade, an essay and multiple choice So second graders are starting to begin formal testing, and this can be used to test ELL's proficiency as well. Essays give the child the chance to be creative and fully explain themselves, and then multiple choice tests provide the students options and induce their knowledge in a non-stressful way. You can also do matching, the WIDA kit, reading with partners, completing stories that are incomplete, and doing oral presentations of content. And with all of these assessment strategies, they are to be chosen based on the already like the level of what the student is at. So keeping that in mind as well. So that concludes our presentation. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. And here are our works cited. Thanks.